cool, isn't it? That conversation, that internal discussion of what I got to do to have people not think I'm uncool, that discussion still goes on. And oh, the hypocrisy when we tell our children, don't worry about that. You should just go with what you believe. And don't worry about peer pressure. Yeah, that's a good one. It's true. When we tell our children that, it's true. It's absolutely true. We tell them, be guided by that internal gyroscope, that internal compass of God calling you and what you believe to be right. Don't we say that to kids? When you're in that situation where your friends are saying, do this, 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 you know what's right. Listen to that voice inside. You know what's right. Follow that. Right? So it's true. But the question is, do you do that? I mean, really and truly, do you do that? Do you do that? How much of your life is about looking good in the expectations of our culture? Tough question. That notion of following the call comes at one heck of a price. Following that call of God within us. The truth is, God speaks in large parameters in the Bible. This is the basis of our faith, right? But my name isn't in here. Kelly Poplin's name isn't in here. Kathy Swenson's name isn't in here. Broad parameters. But as far as the particular application to my life, should I spank my child or not spank my child? Well, spoil the rod, spare the rod, spoil the child. Forgive 70 times 7. Okay, well, what should I do, God? I've got this recalcitrant child. What do I do? Should I spank him or not spank him? Or I've got this opportunity to take this new job, but it's in a different city. And if I take it, it'll be good for us, and it'll give us more money, and it'll give more of a sense of pride, but also the opportunity to use more of my gifts. But that means uprooting the children. What do I do? Where is that in here? Where does it say, Sven, in 2008, when you're losing your job, you should do this? When that little congregation is so tired of your preaching, and they ask you to leave, what should you do? It doesn't say that. This is what mediates God's word to us. But there's still a need for another mediation between us and that. And what's that? It's prayer, right? Speaking to God, God, what is your will for my life? And then it's listening for that answer. Well, where does that answer come? Now, sometimes we're inspired by things outside of us, but the answer is Jesus in our heart, right? It's God speaking from within. Being able to hear the voice of God speaking to us from within, right? That's what it is. When we take communion, what are we doing? We're taking God in us. What does Jesus say? I want to come into your heart. I want to come into your soul. I want to come into your life. So it's feasible to conceive of. If God was within us, then maybe God speaks from within too. And we know that to be true, and there's plenty of biblical precedent. But again, the problem is acting on it. Hearing that voice of God speaking. Because some of us, we so shut it out. We so fear following that voice. We so fear doing anything unconventional, anything against what everybody outside of us says is proper, right, and true and should be done. We so fear offending our parents, don't we? We are 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and our parents are still in our head, aren't they? They may have passed away, and they are still in our head. That's not always bad. I should be listening to my father more. But it's still there. And maybe it's not just a parent. Maybe it's a brother. Maybe it's a sister. Maybe it's a priest. Maybe it's a pastor. Maybe it's a teacher. We still have those tapes playing, don't we? And so we'll listen to those. We'll listen to what all these voices outside of us are saying. But are we listening to that voice inside? I found something disturbing this week when I was reading the paper. It disturbed me. I want to read it to you. It's from the USA Today. You know how the section in the A section, front section, they have state by state little news in each of the states. Here's one from my home state of Minnesota. I want you to hear this. In this notion of, within the context of this discussion of societal expectations, following the call, even though it may be offensive to everybody out here, but inside you believe it to be the call of God. There are two sides to what I'm about to read you. And I'm not choosing one side or the other. I'm simply saying, imagine the difficulty on both sides of this in following your call. Listen to this. It's from Minnesota, Long Prairie, Minnesota. A judge upheld a restraining order, so the judge is upholding the order, barring an autistic boy, 13 years old, from attending church in the central Minnesota town of Bertha. So, in other words, the judge is saying, yes, this autistic child should not be allowed into church. The judge said the family of Adam Race has been unable to prevent him from disrupting services at the Church of St. Joseph. The Race family was fighting the restraining order obtained by the church's priest. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So, now before we cast aspersions, before we jump to conclusions, my first response, I'll be honest with you, is like, so we're Christian and we're barring people from church. That was my first response. And that's why I cut it out. And that is precisely why it made it into the paper. If they had allowed that boy into the church and just let it go on, do you think that would have ever been in the paper? No. But then my second thought was, how bad must it have been? Imagine if we had someone here, autistic, or just a child, or an old person, or a pastor that wouldn't stop talking, whatever. No, seriously, if we had somebody here that raised such a ruckus that we couldn't even focus. Part of the reason that we have the children colored is so that the parents can focus and listen without the obstructions, right? Imagine disrupting an entire parish. So you're really stuck with the tough one. The parents of the family, and I'm sure they have their supporters saying, no, we believe in our hearts this. And the priest and some other supporters no doubt saying, no, we believe in our heart this, and I've got to think about the greater good and so on and so forth. I'm not saying which is right and which is wrong, but I would ask you today in your prayers, keep that parish in your prayers. That there will be some sort of peaceful resolution. I don't know what the resolution is. I'm not a member of the parish. It's easy for me, 2,000 miles or 750 miles away, to be upset. Ooh, how do I know? But it gets back to this point. The notion of following your call, following what you believe, is going to be offensive. And so it's much easier to follow the rules. Because if you follow the rules, you'll never offend anybody. If you follow the rules, you'll get along with everybody. And guess what? Nearly every single, I love this statistic, nearly every single male member of this congregation is either an engineer or an accountant or somehow involved in numbers. I love that. I love that. That is fact. And having been a math major myself at an engineering university, I know that I love numbers and I love the rules of science. And I love that if I follow the formula, I know that everything fits in a formula. So if the formula is already known, I've just got this problem. If I follow the formula and sort of sift it and work it and work it and work it and work it, I'm going to find a solution. There is comfort. There is comfort in the rules of science, in the rules of mathematics. There is comfort. I know there's a solution there. I just got to get there. But not only that, there's comfort in the rules that say, once I reach that solution, I'll get patted on the back. Good boy, Sven. Go ahead.
And that's why God made you.
Ah, is that it? Is that it? Whoa. Again, there are two sides to every argument.
I did do that.
That's good.
I'll just call.
That's good. That's good. And we'll be getting a restraining order.
I'll fight for you.
There's comfort in the rules and the expectations of society. That if I get the boat, if I get the car, if I get the other car, if my kids go to good schools, if I get this and this, I'm going to get pats on the back. There's no comfort following that call. Oftentimes, there's no guarantee. You may not get pats on the back. In fact, you may get everybody against you. Do you think that judge, do you think that priest now is getting some hate mail? Do you think that priest lost some sleep over that decision? Probably for months, probably for years. I don't know what the right answer is, but it certainly casts a very strong light on this notion of following that call, doesn't it? The price. Another situation. It was May of 2005, 5 or 6. I was the head strength and conditioning coach at Augsburg College in Minneapolis. Some of you know that. And I've been working with all of my teams for roughly